Okay, so you're here for the Nashville Predators trade talk, huh? Gotta love some good NHL rumors, especially with the holiday roster freeze coming up. Let's dive right in, see what we can uncover about the Preds' plans.
Yeah, it's definitely heating up out there. Lots of speculation flying around.
But we're not just diving into the rumor mill blindly.
Mm-hmm.
We actually have some pretty good intel to work with.
Right, we do.
We're going to be looking at a recent piece by Marco D'Amico over at rg.org. He's usually pretty well informed, so this should be interesting.
Oh, yeah, D'Amico's definitely got his finger on the pulse.
So let's get right to it. What's D'Amico saying about the Predators' needs?
Well, he points out that they're really looking to fill two specific spots.
Which are?
Middle six center
Makes sense.
and a top four defenseman.
Okay, yeah, those are definitely areas where they could use some reinforcements. Makes you wonder who they might be targeting, right?
Right. And D'Amico doesn't disappoint. There's one name that keeps popping up.
Spill it. Who are we talking about?
Dylan Cozens.
Dylan Cozens, huh? Interesting. He's currently with the Buffalo Sabres, right?
Yep. Young guy, talented center. But yeah, he's had a bit of a rough start this season.
Yes.
Yeah, a bit slow out of the gate.
Okay. So what makes him such a potential target for the Preds? I mean, is it just the fact that he's, a center and young? Or is there something more to it?
It's definitely more than just that. I mean, think about Cozens. Size, speed, he's got playmaking ability. Now look at Nashville's current center situation.
Yeah.
They're more geared towards a defensive style, right?
Yeah.
So bringing someone like Cozens in,
Could really add some offensive punch.
exactly, he could potentially inject some serious offensive firepower into that lineup.
That makes sense. But here's the thing. The Sabres, they're not dummies. They know Cozens has potential. So what's in it for them? Why would they even consider parting ways with a guy like that?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It all boils down to their priorities. And the Sabres are, well, they're in a bit of a rebuilding phase at the moment, so they might be more focused on the future.
Yeah.
Stockpiling those draft picks, scooping up promising young prospects.
Instead of going after seasoned players who could make an immediate impact.
Exactly.
So are you thinking that maybe they'd be open to trading Cozens for future assets rather than an established player?
It's a possibility. It's certainly a scenario to consider. Or maybe they've got a glaring need on their blue line. Maybe they'd be willing to part with Cozens if they could land a solid young defenseman in return. It really comes down to finding that sweet spot, that deal that works for both sides.
Absolutely. It's a trade-off. Now, I got to ask, I know there's been some buzz, some whispers out there about Steven Stamkos potentially being on the move.
Mm-hmm.
But D'Amico, he's pretty adamant that that's not happening, right? Stamkos is staying put in Nashville.
Yeah, he's pretty clear about that. And it makes sense, right? Stamkos is a vital part of the Preds.
Yeah.
And with that hefty contract he just signed
Right.
this past offseason, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
The Preds are clearly committed to him. It's a classic case of how rumors can just spiral.
It really is. And you know what? Stamkos, he's actually been playing some pretty impressive hockey alongside Jonathan Marchessault, who's also been a fantastic addition to the Predators. Yeah. Both of those guys exceeding expectations so far.
And that's precisely why those Stamkos trade rumors seem so outlandish, right? I mean, both he and Marchessault are clicking, they're producing. Why break up a good thing?
Exactly.
But here's a thought. Think about the possibilities if they did bring in a guy like Cozens. I mean, imagine the offensive potential if you had those three on the ice together. Stamkos, Marchessault, Cozens.
Yeah.
That's a recipe for some serious firework.
Oh, yeah. I can already picture it. Cozens feeding the puck to Stamkos, who dishes it over to Marchessault for the one-timer.
Right. That power play unit would be absolutely lethal.
That's a pretty exciting scenario to think about. But yeah, let's not get too carried away. Like you said, it's all hypothetical at this point.
Exactly. Hypothetical, but fun to think about.
It is. Ultimately, the ball's in Buffalo's court. It's their call. They decide what they want for Cozens, and then it's up to Nashville to decide if they're willing to meet the price.
Right. It's a complex situation for sure. We'll just have to see how it all plays out as we get closer to that holiday roster freeze.
Exactly. We'll be keeping a close eye on it.
And you know what? Here's something for all you listeners out there to ponder. Put yourselves in the shoes of the Buffalo Sabres. What would you consider a fair trade package for a young talent like Dylan Cozens? What would be your must-haves? What would be absolutely off the table?
Yeah, it's a great question to consider. What would it take for you to part ways with a player of that caliber?
Food for thought.
It definitely is. Well, that about wraps it up for our deep dive into the Nashville Predators trade landscape.
Always a fun topic.
It is. We'll be sure to keep you updated as things develop. Thanks for joining us.
See you next time.
Later.